we have done some preparation so far. Hopefully the long stuff. Hopefully this live goes smoothly. We processed about 30 pounds of apples. This massive, I think this, I don't know how much this is. Maybe it'll say. This is my biggest kettle, and it's the one I use whenever I'm doing my big projects. This was, well, I had apples, practically coming out of the top, but it was about somewhere in here once everything settled in, and this is what we came up with. This is so much applesauce. I have never processed this much before, ever. It's huge. This bowl is massive, and it's quite hot. There was a lot of steam coming off of the sauce master when we were processing this. So what I did was I chopped up 3 different kinds of apples. It was Honeycrisp, Sweet Tango, and there's a third variety. Yesterday we went to an apple orchard that's about an hour and 20 minutes away. We had a great time. It was such an awesome place. They do such a great job, but it's very low key. And they had all of these second quality apples. So I was super excited to get a hold of some because I know that those can go pretty quickly. So we ended up buying 90 pounds, which is what I put in my community tab question, wondering if there's something besides sauce and cider I should try. I'm going to try to do some cider later. I have a couple different ways I'm going to try. I'll try to go live when I'm doing that as well. So you can kind of see the difference. I'm going to try running apples through our sauce master, which is what we ran the sauce through. And then I also bought a juicer, and we'll compare the two. The thought of getting all the apples in here and creating a juice and letting it drain and everything like that seemed really unappealing to me. So I have those 2 methods. Let me show you the discard quick. So I got this all in one bowl, just real quick. It was in 2 little bowls. This is all the discard. I don't know if you can kind of quantify that volume. This is, well, let's see, that's about maybe 5 cups or slightly less. And this is just skins. There's a little applesauce in here that if I ran this through like something manually, I could probably get more out. But this is just skin and I guess any stems that were left over. But I was pretty good about getting all the stems out. So we've got all this applesauce. I don't know how many quarts it's going to take. I've got my canner, using my pressure canner, but we're going to water bath in it. This is done now that the apples have cooked. So I've got my 7 jars, my first 7 jars. We got people all over the place. Okay, so I've got my first 7 jars sitting here. And what I'm going to do is fill these, get them in the canner. I've also washed up 7 more, but based on my judging volume, I'm probably not going to need all 7. I'm probably not going to get 14 out of this. So I'll fill any extra, and then they'll just wait so that I can get them in the canner when this load is done. Let's see. What's up?
What are you still updating? So I'm like looking at my recordings. So I'm not really doing spring, but I am.
Okay. All right. So I got my canning funnel here. Scissors. Get these out of here. Although I guess maybe those should make an appearance in all of my lives. Okay. Oh. So one thing I was just going to do before I started filling to make sure that everything is really well incorporated. These apples are so juicy. So the same apples that I'm going to use for this sauce are highly recommended for juice because they're so incredibly full of juice. Making homemade applesauce is incredibly easy. Well, I should say if you have the proper equipment. But that sauce master, if I didn't show the sauce, that part. Okay, so sorry, let me back up. I'm kind of scattered all over the place, but hopefully I'll get a little bit more clear as things go on here. So I cut up 30 pounds of apples. I put them in that big kettle that I showed you at the beginning, and I just kind of let them slowly cook down over the course of a couple of hours. I was kind of doing other things, so I had them very, very low, and just came in periodically and stirred them. But I made sure that I used this so that it had a pretty good edge. I have a flatter one, but this one's all metal because I was getting pretty deep in there. And it has a flatter edge here. But this way I could just scrape the bottom because there were times when it was starting to stick a little bit, but between managing the temperature, keeping a lid on so not too much of that moisture and steam is evaporating, and then just regularly stirring it, it stayed pretty good. But so then after that was done, my kids helped me run this through our sauce master, which is a food mill, but it's meant to process a lot more volume at once. And so after it came out of there, I just want to make sure that all of the liquid and the thicker sauce was really well incorporated. So that's why I'm stirring here. That sauce master makes an appearance in several of my other videos, including I did, just last week, we did some tomatoes and made a tomato sauce, and it is in that video. So if you want to see it in action, check it out there. It's wonderful, like wonderful. All right, so let's see this. Oh, wait a minute here. I don't know my headspace. I was checking over recipes earlier, and I know the cider is 1/4 inch, but I just want to make sure that applesauce is 1/4 inch as well. So here I am again, checking things out double checking. Although this only has a sauce can. Okay, I thought this just had a sauce frozen instruction. All right, applesauce, 1/2 inch. Okay. 1/2 inch headspace. Oh, this is so good to know. Quarts and pints, both 20 minutes. That is really good to know. And the reason that I'm excited that processing time is the same, which is not particularly common, is that I think that I'm going to have some mixed canner loads that might have both pints and quarts. And I was thinking that the pints would just be going extra long, but that's so exciting. Okay. Oh no, this does not need any sugar, which is just so nice. It says here you can puree it using a food processor. I never even thought about that. I guess, when apple skins are cooked, there's just hardly anything left of them. But if you ran it through a food processor, that would really pulverize. That's really intriguing. I might have to try that sometime. Okay, 1/2 inch headspace. That's what I wanted to check. Oh, and then the spice variation. Yes, one of my kids, he was like, "Oh, we should add cinnamon to the applesauce." And I thought, okay, I love apple cinnamon. I like it more than I like regular applesauce without it. 100% of the time. But if somebody didn't want the cinnamon in here, I don't know what kind of crazy person wouldn't. But then it wouldn't be in there. So I thought, let's just leave it out. But we do like cinnamon in there. Okay, now my jars were not hot, like super hot, but because this applesauce was not straight from the stove, yes, this bowl is very hot. Well, I guess it's probably more like warm to the touch now. I wasn't super concerned. So I knew that the sauce wasn't like boiling temperature. Let me get this a little closer. Let's see. I don't know if you can hear my stove going. Got the canner warming up. I just sort of fill my jars to about the headspace, and then I sort of fine tune them after everything is filled. Just feel like working in batches really makes things go a lot smoother. Okay, 3 more. So my canner is just on like a low heat. It's not on a hot because I don't want it to get up to boiling, because then I gotta pull some of the water out and add cool, which I don't know, it's been going for a little bit. I might have to do that anyway. But once I get these 7 filled, that's why I'm gonna get these out of here and in the canner. Then I can crank up the heat on high and get that process really going quickly. Oh my gosh, so yummy. I have been waiting to do this, you guys, for like years. I mean, like, I've made applesauce before, but we actually took the time, planned for it, planned for it. Okay, I did it. I made a decision about 30 minutes after I found out they had seconds. But really, like, I have been wanting to go to an orchard that hopefully has apples that are not, you know, their premier quality, that can be perfect for stuff like this for years. But we end up, I don't know what ends up happening here. I need a spoon. All right, 1/2 inch. Is it even worth debubbling? In my last live, I talked about my dislike of I don't like to debubble. And I don't mean to be a canning rule breaker or anything, but you know what? I'm just going to use the back side of this spatula. I do see some bubbles in there, but not many. Oof. Oh gosh. Yeah, I don't really feel like there's that many bubbles in here. And the ones that are, yeah, they're not even moving around. So if you follow that instruction to a T, just close your eyes. Okay. Now let's see. I think I just mess these up more. All these are just a little full. They make these debubbling tools that have an inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch measurement on them, so you can literally just stick them on the top of your jar here and see how far your headspace is. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I should also say that this live may abruptly stop if my sleeping child wakes up. We're doing another nap time live. Okay, let's start with that. So using vinegar to kind of clean your rims can help pull any, well, in this case, I'm looking at the sugar content of these apples. It's so sweet that this can really help avoid having a sticky rim where the lid will sit. Do a little bit more, especially on that last one. It got a little bit of debris. Yeah, using vinegar can cut through grease and sweetness in a way that water might have a little harder time doing. I used to just use really hot water, but now I've moved over to using vinegar, which is kind of a nice switch up. All right, these are already washed. Well, the lids are. I did not wash the rings, but they're all ready to go. And if you are new to canning and you read the instructions on how to tighten these jars, it's just, they say fingertip tight, which is just a nice little twist until you don't want to get to the point, that tension point where you have to suddenly like use a lot of muscle force. Back when canning was, when you used reusable lids for canning regularly, like the zinc top lids with the gaskets, you would need to really crank on those. Well, according to my grandparents, I'm going to check the temperature here. Oh yeah, I can still put my hand in that water. So I am not concerned about any jars breaking. However, I'm thinking what's going to happen here is I lost my train of thought. The nature of a live. Oh, I think I put too much water in this kettle. That's what I was going to say. So I think I'm going to have to take some out. Loading it up, the first round of applesauce. Because I've never processed apple cider before, I have no clue what kind of yield I can expect to get. So that's going to be a totally new thing. Like I said, I'll try to go live when I'm doing that. If I do, it's probably going to be, so I'm in Central Time Zone. It's probably going to be 4:30. So maybe in about 3 hours. Wow. I was thinking that was going to be so much more full. Wow, that's so nice. I love when stuff like that happens. I'm still going to pull a little bit out, only because it should cut down on the amount of time that it takes for this to boil. That's not that much. Okay. Get my burner on super high. Okay. Now, if you use a pressure, well, this is my Presto canner. I don't know about the All-American and any other brand. This Presto canner comes with this gasket, which is, of course, vital for the canner to work properly, to pressure can. But I thought lately, maybe I can try taking this out when I water bath, because then, I don't know, I don't have to wash it. That's my main goal, to be honest with you. Okay. But I tried taking it out, and what I noticed was that as this is boiling rapidly, it drips so much more water all over the stove, and it becomes an absolute mess. So it's worth having to wash it, in my opinion, because I would prefer to not have to clean all of that liquid off of the stove. All right, there we go. Let's get this pulled up. At the orchard yesterday, we got pie pumpkins, which if I have time after I fill these next jars, I might split those open and get those in the oven, because I really want cooked apple in our freezer. Yesterday I wanted to make some apple bread, or not apple, pumpkin bread or pumpkin muffins, but I had no pumpkin. So I was thinking I'm going to get a bunch there. This was like, I don't know, 79 cents a pound. And then we would have them in the freezer. And then they also had other eating squash. So I got some delicata squash, I think that's what these are called. These, if you have not tried, are so good. And the skin gets really tender when you cook it. So just like a little bit of olive oil, salt, and some thyme and then an oven roast. So good. Okay, how many jars do I need? I have 7. I don't think I'm gonna need more than 5. All right. Not that you would need any more sweetness, but I have made apple pear sauce before, and it is so dang good. But you know, a lot of pears these days have not a lot of apples seem to have a bit of a pear taste to them. I'm not sure if you have observed that as well. But in fact, we have some in our freezer, or not our freezer, our fridge. We went to I guess it's sort of like a harvest festival around here a couple weeks ago, and I got this massive half bushel or something like that of apples, and I was going to use them for applesauce. Then we started eating them, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are so good. I feel like making applesauce is such a waste of these amazing apples. And they have like a pear aftertaste almost. Right at the end of when you're chewing them, they have a pear flavor that just totally comes out. And so one of our kids in particular, she'll say, oh, can I have one of those apples that taste like pears? That's how pear-like they are. I do hope to do some pear processing as well. Right now, the domestic pears in the United States are just starting to come in. So our co-op really tries to source a lot of stuff from the US and local farmers and all that kind of stuff. But they said that the domestic pears are just starting to come in, and so they're still very expensive. So when I was going to place an order, when he was telling me that, I was like, maybe I'll wait. He said, yeah, we might reduce the price even as far as like 30% as it gets closer to, just as the volume and stuff increases. Okay, 4 quarts. Now the question is, will that even fit a pint? And I'm not sure that it will. I'm going to use this green jar. And if this doesn't fit a pint, it's hard for me to judge this volume right now because it's so flat in this big bowl. But if it's not enough for a pint, I will be making more applesauce. And so I'll just put it in the fridge and then add it, or you know what, we can just eat it. The kids who are helping me with the sauce master were like, can we sample it? Can we sample it? I was like, yeah, and just a little bit, just a little bit. Oh, okay. That's more than I thought. I don't think it's enough for a quart, but let's see. I'm left-handed. This is tricky to do. So, sorry, I'm just going to show you the back of the bowl. Getting it all out. No. Yeah, the pint was the way to go. Probably would have filled the pint perfectly. Okay. I'm going to do that. There we go. Look at that. Okay. And then we'll scrape that out and eat it. Or you know what? I don't know why. I like to be pretty accurate with my head spaces, which maybe makes up for my debubbling laziness. Okay. All right, we'll just set that aside. All right, I need a new paper towel for that. That's dirty. I like to use paper towels for this purpose just because I feel like, I don't know. I mean, my kitchen towels are, I always make sure I have clean kitchen towels on hand when I do canning projects. But I feel like paper towels, and I just don't even have to think about it, how clean it is. All right, so 30 pounds of apples turned into 11 and a half quarts of applesauce. I'm gonna write that down because if I go back to the apple orchard, which may happen, oh, where did I put those? Then I know exactly how much I need to get for how much I want to get out. All right. Okay. Those will just sit on deck, waiting. I never used to do this. I never used to fill more than what actually could fit in my canner. And I think that it was such a revolutionary thing that I did that really changed a lot for me. Saved a ton of time. Tons of time. All right. Okay, so that's the canning of the applesauce. This is going to come to a raging rolling boil, and I kind of don't think it's going to happen on the live, but that's the process. Once this gets to a raging boil, then I will start the timer for 20 minutes. And again, so excited that quarts and pints go together, because then I don't have to worry about that. Okay. So maybe I'll get 3 of these pumpkins going. I'm gonna wash this dirt. They're all a little dirty. Just gonna check on the chat quick. Not that there would be much there. Let's see. Yeah, nah. No chat. That's okay. I am used to just people popping in and out and not really commenting. However, if you have something to say or want to comment, please do. Great. I'm going to set my oven to 350. And I like to mass bake my pumpkin. So I'm just going to get this in this big roaster. And if you saw my meat live, I had a situation with my knives. It was pretty gnarly, but I'm glad that I kind of did that because I got through, found the knife that I really need for stuff like this, especially hard flesh pumpkins. And now I have this. I actually, holy moly, sorry about that. It was way overexposed. Anyway, I took my other big knife, and I actually took it out of rotation. And placed it with this sort of cleaver type for now, until I figure something out. And I know people roast pumpkin seeds. I've never successfully done them where they're not like really chewy. However, I have 7 chickens in the backyard who will love that. And I'm pretty sure I heard something about the deworming properties of pumpkin with chickens. Do you have chickens? Is that a thing? These are nice. Although this is a little green on the inside, that's probably okay. So when I'm done cooking this, I will just freeze it in either pint jars with a little bit of my brain is in multiple directions. I will either freeze this in pint jars with wide mouths so they don't break, or I have these storage containers that we use for practically everything in our house. And I've got tons of them because they're fantastic, and they hold a quart, so 4 cups. So they don't break either. They're airtight. These are great. And they're made out of glass, which is important to me. So one of those is 2. So the pint jar will hold about 1.5 cups. So not only do pint jars, when you freeze, okay, a pint is supposed to be 2 cups. But when you freeze things, you're not supposed to go about this far, about an inch. Maybe even a little bit more actually, maybe 1.5 inches to the top of the jar, because it can crack with the lid on. And also, these can crack because of the shoulder. That's why you want the wide mouth pint, because they have straight sides. Wide mouth pint. They have started making another type of pint jar that has a wide mouth that's a very different shape. But it's the one with straight sides. Straight sides is the point. Alright. You can tell my water's getting pretty hot in that canner already. Okay, I'm just going to cut all these like an assembly line. It's loud. On the knife topic, one of the things that I was noticing, that I was just becoming really aware of how I was using my knife, and I tend to scrape my knife along the cutting board, and I was wondering if maybe that is why my knives have gotten so dull. I mean, there's no getting around the fact that we just haven't brought them in to get sharpened, but if you have knives, or know about knives, is that something that makes them more dull? It seems like it would. I think that was the bottom. I cannot wait to have this.
I forgot to drop the presents.
Ah.
And then after that, I can clean, and then you can go on.
Wow, okay, so this bigger one is a lot more firm and stringy. The other ones have like the actual flesh itself, like when you squeeze this, I can actually squeeze it, whereas this is very, very dense. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry. Goodness. You can tell I'm so focused over here. Alright, the last one here. Even though pumpkins have, quite a bit of moisture on their own, I do like to put a little bit of water in my roasting pan, because I feel like it just kind of, when it steams in there, I feel like that really helps to get a really nice, soft, creamy texture to the pumpkins. And it's okay that these overlap. Forgot a couple seeds. Yeah, we highly prefer this home sort of steamed pumpkin to the canned pumpkin. So it is so worth it for us to do this. So let's see, where do I have some water? I wonder, maybe, yeah, a cup should be good. Lid. And in the oven we go. I mean, just checking on it, I don't know, not half an hour. 45 minutes to an hour. So yeah, that's it. We made it without getting interrupted by a waking child, which is kind of nice. But yeah, thanks for coming along, if you made it this far, to dealing with some of these awesome finds at the apple orchard. Super excited about the sauce. 11.5 quarts. Won't last us terribly long, but if we spread it out, it should. We usually just use applesauce for fresh eating. We don't usually use it in a lot of recipes and things like that. I'm trying to think through that. Mostly just eating fresh is how we prefer it. Yeah, I know some people put it in like baked goods and stuff like that, but I don't feel like applesauce is very additive, and because it is so sweet, I don't like using it in recipes, even in replacing like oil. I know sometimes you can reduce the amount of oil in recipes with applesauce, but I don't usually do that. I find that my things usually fall apart more. My secret to having something turn out even better than with oil is actually using yogurt. So we do that. I'm gonna give these treats to the chickens. And yeah, I will try to pop on live again later today when we're going through and doing our, well, I guess I'm calling it cider, but maybe that's not the technical term. Maybe it should be called juice. But apple juice, apple cider, whatever you want to call it. All right, we'll see you soon.